We're learning more about Portland Mayor Keith Wilson's plan to evict shelter residents who do not engage with supportive services such as drug and alcohol treatment.
And Fox 12's McKenna Marks joins us live now from City Hall with the latest updates on this. And McKenna, what exactly does this plan look like and how are local shelters reacting?
Yeah, good evening, Nora. Pete. Well, Mayor Wilson sent out a memo to City Council on Tuesday detailing his plan to evict up to 90 residents at alternative shelters. Now, according to this memo, if a resident at an alternative shelter has been there for 120 days without using those supportive services, they will be asked to leave. Now, one Portland nonprofit tells me that while these shelters are designed to be temporary housing, it's deadlines like this one that could cause more harm than good. On Tuesday, Portland Mayor Keith Wilson sent a memo to City Council. The memo announces the city's plan to evict residents at alternative homeless shelters like tiny home villages if they don't engage with supportive services in 120 days. The new policy is scheduled to take effect in February. In his memo, Wilson said these alternative shelters were always meant to serve as temporary housing and that the city has a responsibility to encourage homeless individuals to progress through the system and eventually secure permanent housing. Wilson says, quote, "Exiting due to stay limits only occurs after many months or in some cases years of persistent attempts to connect and collaborate with no level of engagement. Stay limits requirements include a formal warning process that communicates the policy, options for engagement, and consequences for non-engagement," end quote. In this case, supportive services could include obtaining employment, housing applications, or even addiction treatment. In his memo, Wilson also says this policy will impact 80 to 90 people, but exceptions will be made for residents experiencing severe mental health issues. Cultivate Initiatives, a nonprofit that operates the Menlo Park Safe Rest Village in Southeast Portland, tells me they're concerned this new 120-day deadline could cause further damage to the homeless community. In a statement, the nonprofit says, quote, "People who have experienced long-term homelessness are not unhoused because of a lack of personal capacity or motivation. More often, they are where they are because at critical moments in their lives, they were failed by fragmented and under-resourced systems," end quote. Cultivate Initiative said if the goal is to move people into permanent housing, the city needs to address the systemic issues that contribute to homelessness in the first place. The nonprofit says shelter works best when it's paired with real pathways out, saying, quote, "Ending unsheltered houselessness requires investing in what actually moves people forward: employment, affordable housing, rental assistance, landlord partnerships, and supportive services that meet people where they are." Again, this new policy is scheduled to take effect in February and is expected to impact 80 to 90 people. That's according to the memo. I reached out to the offices of both Council President Alana Pearl-Guinea and Mayor Keith Wilson for a comment on this story, but was told by both of their offices they were not able to accommodate that request today. Reporting live from downtown Portland, McKenna Marks, Fox 12 Oregon.
McKenna, thank you.